What's going on, guys? This is Brew Rise coming to you live with another video. Today we're going to talk about a personal matter that I deal with on a regular basis, and we're going to talk a little bit about heart palpitations, irregular heartbeats, maybe even anxiety as well. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a cardiologist. These are just some of the tips that have helped me in the research that I've done on my own hand that has helped me in my symptoms and kind of helped me through my palpitations that I have on a regular basis. Now, I had open heart surgery when I was in my teens, and I'm 44 years old now. And ever since I had open heart surgery, I would have palpitations. I go to the doctor, they put me on a Holter monitor that I have to wear for 30 days. And, a lot of times I go through those and I don't have a symptom, or maybe I have a small one, and they're like, it's just a premature, palpitation. And I'll take the Holter monitor off, and 2 weeks later, I'll have a really bad palpitation that kind of may turn or trigger into a tachycardia. And I'm like, golly, I'm not wearing my damn Holter monitor. I go back to the doctor. They put me on EKGs. They look at my heart. They do echocardiograms. And they're like, we think your heart's okay. So again, this is just things that are helping me. I'm not a cardiologist. I would recommend before anything you talk to a cardiologist if you're having any kind of palpitations, and go on their discretion. But this again is just for me only. So I've got 4 things that have helped me out with my heart palpitations that I've been dealing with for the past 20 some years. They happen almost every day. There's days I'll go 1-2 days, sometimes I'll have one palpitation, and then it'll be a day I have 10 or 20. So they're a mix of palpitations. And as I'm getting older, I feel like my heart may be not as strong as I used to be. I used to be an athlete and didn't have them as bad, but now that I haven't been working out as much and working hard, I feel like I'm getting a little bit more palpitations. So I changed a couple of things in my diet, reduced my blood pressure, and I feel a lot better. Now, currently right now, I'm 6'1", about 190 pounds. When I started this change, I was 6'1", about 225 pounds. So I've lost about 35 pounds over the course of 2 years. How did I do that? I did it through less calorie intake is my number one thing. Don't eat as much. It's not rocket science. You cut your calories, you lose your weight. You increase your calories, you gain your weight. So I stayed out somewhere around a 1,500 calorie intake for the past 2 years, and I'm down to about 190. And I think that's my weight. It's hard for me to get below 190. I've been kind of just like hovering between 190 and 193 for, I don't know, maybe the past couple months, and I'm just not losing anything past that. So I think that may be where I'm at with my calories, and I'm okay with that. I've lost 30 plus pounds already, and I feel a lot better. But the number one thing that I did, the 4 things that I want to talk about today, is number one, for me, the biggest thing that has helped me with my palpitations, which again, guys, palpitations lead into a lot of things. There's people who just get palpitations. They're normal. They're a young, healthy adult, but they get palpitations. And palpitations lead to panic, because as soon as you have a palpitation, if you've never had one before, the only thing I can do to describe it would be like holding your breath for as long as you can. And just when you're like about to like gasp for air because you just can't hold your breath anymore, someone takes your head and puts it underwater, and they hold it there for another 30 seconds. And that's kind of the panic that hits you when you're having a palpitation, because your heart's doing things that just aren't normal. 99% of the people go every day, have no idea their heart's beating, it's just doing its job. People with palpitations, when you have a palpitation, you're like, oh shit, what was that? And then immediately you go into a panic, and then you start going into other things. So palpitations leads to anxiety, a lot of anxiety, especially for me growing up after my heart surgery. I had a lot of anxiety from my heart surgery. I died 2 times on the operating table, and they revived me twice. So for me, it was a really big eye-opener coming back from heart surgery, going into anxiety and palpitations and stuff. But the number one thing for me that has changed me drastically has just been, number one's been sleep. I've been maintaining, 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, and not only sleep, but a good sleep pattern. I noticed before when I had a bad sleep pattern, I would stay up late, maybe go to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'd wake up at 6 in the morning and, get 5 or 6 hours of sleep. I did that for a long time. As I'm getting older, I notice when I do things like that, stay up later and get up early, I notice that the next day my heart is really palpitating. I'm having struggles. My heart's pounding more. My blood pressure is higher because I didn't get enough sleep. Speaking of blood pressure, right quick, when I was at 6'1", 220 some pounds, my blood pressure at that time would always hover about 140 over 92, 93, and it was that way for a while. Now my blood pressure is about 110 over probably 65 to 75, somewhere in that range. And that's just me, just relaxing, taking my blood pressure, which I take my blood pressure every day. So literally anywhere from 100 to over 60 or 110 to 70. That's kind of my range right now. But my blood pressure has dropped drastically just because of my weight reduction, and I've been a little bit more active than what I used to be, and I'm getting the proper sleep. It's been really important as well. So number one, I would say sleep, and your sleep pattern as well is really important. Try to go to bed at a certain time and wake up at a certain time. Try to do that regularly. Your body gets into that mode and it just rests, it heals. Our body is a machine. Think of it as you charge your cell phone every day. You charge your cell phone. If you don't charge your cell phone, your battery goes dead. Same thing with your body. You don't get enough sleep, your body doesn't go dead, but your body needs charging, and sleeping is recharging yourself, recharging your battery. So make sure your battery is fully charged every day. Get your 7 to 8 hours of sleep in, and I guarantee you that will help with palpitations. It's helped me drastically. Number two, for me, what I was doing is just increased my liquids that I was intaking. I've been a guy that never drank a lot of fluids. I drank when I was working out or playing sports, but throughout the day, I just never drank. I see so many people drink water and just drink water and drink water constantly. I was never that guy. I was just like, if I'm thirsty, I'll drink. But what I did, instead of drinking water, and 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago probably, I started to drink coconut water. And I did a lot of research on coconut water, and I remember going to Sam's and I bought some coconut water. And the first time I drank it, I was like, hell no, there's no way I can do this on a regular basis. It was disgusting. I remember sitting on my couch watching TV with this coconut water carton that I had, and I was sipping on it for like 3 hours. I forced myself to drink it. Every time I drank it, I felt like I was going to throw up. I hated it. And it was like that for like 10 times, like my first 8 to 10 times. And then I acquired a taste to it. It's really amazing how your body acquires a taste of something if you just continue to do it. And I acquired a taste for it, and I absolutely loathed coconut water. I hated it. It was disgusting. Now it is my favorite drink on this earth. I drink about 40 ounces of coconut water every day. And I also drink a lot more water as well. So number two, I would say, is make sure your body, for palpitations, make sure you're getting electrolytes in your body, whether it be through coconut water or Gatorade or mineral water, something that's mixed with electrolytes. The electrolytes for your heart are very important to keep and maintain the fluid heart rhythm. Your body, your heart needs electrolytes to create the electricity to pump it, shock it, pump it, and then trigger your brain and back and forth. So that's all your electrical system. Again, I'm not a doctor by any means. I've just done a lot of research on this because I've struggled over the past 20 years with palpitations. I hope this video can help someone who's been struggling with palpitations or maybe even anxiety. And I'll give you a couple tips at the end of what I do for when I'm having a panic attack caused by palpitations that really do help. So number one, sleep patterns. Number two, electrolytes. Whether it be some type of coconut water, Gatorade, vitamin water, something that is going to replenish you and hydrate you constantly throughout the day. Number three is just exercise. I mean, this is a no-brainer. I know when I take off on exercise, if I don't do exercise, I feel it the next day. My heart especially feels it the next day. It's amazing. Your heart is a muscle. The more you move, the more you exercise, the more you do things, your heart is going to stay strong. If you're, you know, sitting around all day and just not doing anything, your heart gets weak. Just like any muscle, you have to build it. So I try to get 6 to 10,000 steps in every day. I also have a 2-mile walk that I do. I don't do any jogging. I don't do any heavy cardio work. I probably should, but honestly, I can feel my heart beating a little heavy when I'm starting to do that. I'm in the process. I'm gonna go back to a doctor as well. But when I get my heart rate up, it does affect me. Not only the anxiety that I have when I'm working out sometimes. When I was working out in the past, I'd be working out heavy and my heart would go into a really bad tachycardia where it beats over 200 beats a minute. And those are just the worst in the world. I wish that upon nobody. But that's happened to me when working out. So I don't get my heart rate above 130 to 140 beats per minute. Just because anything over that sometimes can trigger a tachycardia for me. Again, everyone is different, but my heart and its electrical system is a little messed up. So 3, exercise, 2, again, electrolytes, water, and then number 1 is rest. And then number 4 is one I'm sure you guys all know about, but just limit your caffeine intake. I used to be a heavy coffee drinker, and I remember I'd be drinking coffee and I get palpitations, drink coffee, palpitations, drink coffee, palpitations, drink coffee, palpitations. So then I went to a half calf. I drank a half calf, palpitations, half calf, palpitations. Now I do a decaf coffee. I don't have any palpitations caused by caffeine anymore, but I did at one point was drinking caffeine a lot, and I would suffer the fact that I had a lot of heart palpitations because of that. And actually, there's one other thing I'll talk about too that could trigger palpitations, and it does for me, and I know that for a fact. But number 4, just stay away from caffeine. Drink liquids that are good and nutritious for you. But I'll just throw something else in there. A lot of times, acid indigestion can trigger palpitations, and I'll tell you why. Because acid indigestions will create your insides to inflame a little bit. Well, for me, when my insides inflame because of acid indigestion, they'll inflame and they'll hit my vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is a nerve that is somewhere near your esophagus that triggers your brain to beat for your heart. And I think, and I've told the doctor, and he agrees with me, that when my stomach becomes inflamed, it hits the vagus nerve or irritates it in somehow, and that will cause my heart to actually trigger tachycardias. So a lot of times when I work out on an empty stomach, and that seems to help because I don't have any irritants in my vagus area that causes my heart to go into a tachycardia arrhythmia. But again, those are the 4 things that have helped me out drastically. And I do still suffer from palpitations on a regular basis, but it's not like, like I said, 95%, 96% of the time, maybe even 98% of the time, my heart is beating fine. And then, a couple times a day, I'll get just a little palpitation. It used to be a lot worse when I wasn't doing these steps. I used to get them a lot more. Now they haven't, or I haven't been having them as much. And then back to one thing I was telling you about anxiety, caused by palpitations or just anxiety in general. I remember when I first had my first anxiety attack after my surgery, I was maybe around 19 years old. And it was just the weirdest thing because I had a palpitation for like the first time. And I remember I had a cup of coffee. That was the first cup of coffee I had after my surgery. And then my heart was just going all crazy. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I think I'm dying. And it was the very first palpitation I had. And I get into this anxiety attack that just throws your blood pressure up. It throws your heart into a more of a arrhythmia. Then it just spirals and it goes downhill. And I used to get these palpitations. And I remember one time I suffered with anxiety a lot up until my 20s. And I remember I was about 23, 24 years old. I looked in the mirror and I was like, you're 24 years old. You are a healthy man. You don't have anything, you know. I mean, like, I talk to myself just saying, like, look, dude, you are fine. You know, like, you know, anxiety is a a mental illness. And I told myself at that point, like, I was fine. Now, as I've gotten older, I'm getting 44. You know, my father had his first heart attack when he was 44. My age now, I get more anxiety as I'm getting older, and I've caught myself getting more anxiety because I'm getting older. And one of the things that I do when I'm in that anxiety mode is I will stop what I'm doing and I will go into a deep breathing, and I'll just like stop. I'll try to clear my head, but I'll just like, and I'll do that like 5 or 6 times. And I'll just deep breathe in and then let it out. And I would do that. I would try to hold my breath as much as I can on my deep breathe in. And then just kind of let it out. And that has helped me. But I understand with anxiety, sometimes it's just nothing you can do to cure it other than just like freak the fuck out. And I hate saying that, but there are times where it's gotten so bad with me again. It's just like you try different things, it just doesn't work. But again, guys, this is not medical tips or medical help or medical, you know, I'm not a cardiologist. I'm not a doctor. These are just personal things of me doing my own kind of research. And that has helped me. Number one thing, talk to your cardiologist, you know, talk to your doctor. Make sure that, you know, if you have any issues with your heart or palpitations, definitely don't come to YouTube. Call 911, go to the emergency room. You know, I'm not here to help you cure your palpitations at all. These are just tips that have helped me out and the palpitations that I get on a regular basis. Again, guys, this is Brew Roz coming to you live here. And if you guys leave comments below, you know, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try to post things, just stuff that pertains to me that maybe can help you guys out. Thanks for watching, guys. Everyone, God bless. And until the next time, see you guys.